Hi guys, Reverend Kim here for your evening meditation. Just getting settled in for a long evening of work. I made a decision today after some prayer to take the next 2 days off, and I mean off of social media, off of the news, off of everything that doesn't give me life right now, in order to prepare for another long week ahead, to prepare for our Sunday worship, to prepare for all of those things. It's time for a Sabbath for me. And so the next 2 days, you'll still find your reflection at 10 a.m. and you'll find a meditation at around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the evening. They'll be pre-recorded though. So if you're saying hi to me and I'm not saying hi back, it's because they are recordings, but you will be able to see them and take part of them as you have been up until now. So look for those recordings posted at around 10 a.m. and let's say 7:30 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays going forward. So we're tuning in tonight for another meditation from Healing Oasis by Reverend Sharon Moon, a wonderful book that we have been given permission to use for our evening meditations. We start with some scripture and then we move into a time of a guided meditation from Sharon. Tonight's scripture is the baptism of Jesus. And I'm going to do something that I haven't done yet. I've let the reflection time be an informal moment to chat about the scripture and how it might tie into a guided meditation. Tonight I wanted to read you parts of the reflection because when I read them this evening, they connected to where I feel so many of us are, and they connected Jesus's humanity to our own lives. And I think that is so important right now as we're living in a new way of being in the world. And so let's have a listen to first the scripture and then what Sharon has to say about it in a reflection before we move into a time of guided meditation. This will also give folks a moment to gather and to come in. The scripture reading, she quotes all three versions that are found in the Synoptic Gospels, or Matthew, Mark, and Luke. I'm only going to read you from Matthew. I'll post the other three so you can compare them on your own. Then Jesus came from Galilee to John at the Jordan to be baptized by him. John would have prevented him, saying, "I need to be baptized by you, and do you come to me?" But Jesus answered him, "Let it be so now, for it is proper for us in this way to fulfill all righteousness." Then he consented. And when Jesus had been baptized, just as he came up from the water, suddenly the heavens were opened to him, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased." And in her reflection tonight, Sharon Moon, the writer of the book we've been using, Reverend Sharon Moon, also a minister in the United Church of Canada, she shares this reflection saying that Jesus had come to a turning point in his life. When he left Nazareth and Galilee and headed to the Jordan, he was at a turning point. He was about to try to figure out what his life was about. He had felt this deep calling by God to follow God wherever God would lead him. He was sorting out, like the rest of us, to struggle what the meaning of his life was. Sharon says this. She says, "I believe that he, like the rest of us, had to struggle what that meaning was. I don't see Jesus as a divine puppet simply living out a prearranged plan. I realize that people afterwards, in trying to make sense of the experience, sometimes made it to sound that way." She talks about God's own call in her life, and another day I'll tell you about God's call for my life. It's never a perfectly laid out blueprint, she says, or step-by-step instructions. It came instead to me and to her as a profound pull on the soul that had to be followed. The known part was that relationship with the Spirit. She says that she found it fascinating that Jesus' baptism takes place in the wilderness. It's a place that at that time especially people would have avoided if they could. It was a place where danger lurked. And Jesus was baptized by a radical prophetic man, John the Baptizer. John had started a movement that believed that society needed to change to its very roots. Cosmetic changes here and there would not be enough. Those who came to John were dissatisfied with the status quo and were looking for a new way. They responded at the core of their very beings to his message that a huge change was coming. Some of us have been experiencing and feeling a change in the world, a shift in the status quo right now, and things are being uncovered as we come to isolation. And we're looking out into the world and seeing that there is an opportunity for change, a great opportunity for change. So I'm thinking that these readings tonight and this meditation tonight, titled Baptism, Transformation, Healing, Change, will deeply connect us with some of the things we're feeling. She says, finally, one is reminded of the 40 years the Israelites spent wandering in the desert on the freedom road from Egyptian slavery. In Scripture, this too was a time of radical formation, a testing of purpose and direction, of creating a new people. Yeah. And some of us are finding that questions of the Spirit are coming stronger and clearer than they had in the past. When we have so much time to read and think and consider and pray, sometimes we are feeling like we're lost in the desert, and sometimes we're feeling closer to God than we ever have. So I want you to think about, if you were baptized, have you ever considered your baptism? What that meant in your own life? If you were baptized later in your life as an adult, what was that experience like for you? And then where do you have a sense of people crying out for a change in the direction in which this world has been traveling? How do you feel about people that are seeking this radical change? Up until now, so many folks like that have been called some pretty derogatory names, liberal extremists and snowflakes. But there's really something to needing a shift in the way that the world has been going, don't you think? I do, anyway. And then the question that we also take into meditation with us is this, or actually a consideration, remembering a time that we've had to struggle with the direction our lives were going. What kind of feelings and tensions arose for you? And for many of you, I know that that time is right now. So I'm going to invite you to get comfortable, to find a quiet space to sit or even lie down, to make sure that you're warm enough, to make sure that you feel like this is a place where you can sit or lay for the next 20 minutes or so, maybe 15, I'm not sure. And allow yourself to take a deep breath. You can begin to close your eyes and let yourself feel what it's like to be in your body self today, right now. If you've been joining us for these guided meditations each evening, you've heard these words already, this idea of the body self. This idea that the body, the mind, and the spirit are one. How are you experiencing that in this moment? Maybe you've gone your whole life without ever considering that, but in this time, in these times together, you're starting to feel a connection to your body self. The word in Hebrew, they spoke of nephesh, the body soul, the spirit body. Jesus talked about our bodies as temples of the Spirit. What is it like for you to think that way? And as you begin to pay attention to your body, Do you notice places where that tension has been stored up? Where your muscles are in tight knots, and as you scan your body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, please notice if there are tender places, aches and pains or sore spots. Send compassion into these places in your body, thanking your body for the hard work that it does. Perhaps offering to pay a little more attention to these sore spots and what they're trying to tell you in the future. Become aware of your breathing, the life-sustaining process that goes on all of the time, even when you're unaware. Notice if you are breathing with only a small part of your lungs, or if you're breathing deeply into your whole body, down to the bottom of your lungs, to the tops of your shoulders. Notice if your tummy moves in and out the way a baby's does when it breathes naturally. Notice if you're tightened up, not fully open to the breath of life. Let your body relax. Let the tension flow out of your body, all the way out through the bottom of your feet and out through the tips of your toes. Begin to allow your breath to move deeper now into your being. Taking the breath deep down into your belly, creating inner space. Breathe in deeply. Breathe deeply the healing presence of the Spirit, the goodness and grace of God. Take it right into the core of your being. As you breathe out, let the breath carry with it the poisons, physical, emotional, spiritual, that have built up in your body. Breathe in possibility, hope that the Spirit gives. Let all of the stress and tensions that are stored in your body self, your emotional self, your spiritual self, breathe in life energy. The creating breath of God that was there from the beginning, breathe that in. Breathe out whatever would block you from being fully present to this time. Again, notice your body. If there continue to be dense and tense places, imagine this healing breath moving directly to this tension, unknotting it, letting go, letting be, letting open, letting unlock. Notice that you are in a safe place, that this is a place where it is safe to be. Notice the inner space that is being prepared and open inside of you. Space for the sacred presence to find room. Space for the Holy One to be with you. Your own sacred space. Your own holy ground. Your own sacred center. Imagine yourself walking across a field now on a hot afternoon. Smell the dried grasses and the hot, dry air. Hear the buzz of insects. Feel the heat of the sun as it beats down on your body. Feel your thirst in this dry heat. You are on a path that is leading to a place you feel drawn to, though you do not exactly know what you will find there. Notice the mixture of anticipation, uncertainty, those feelings you feel as you continue along this path. Become aware that there are others on this path too. Notice them. Speak to them or not, as you feel you wish. Become aware. The closer you come to this place, that you are coming out of a deep longing for change within you. Let it rise up in you as you are walking, this desire for change. And as you become aware of it, notice if there are any particular areas of your life that seem to cry out for a need for change. Notice if there are any things in the world and the culture around you that seem to cry out for change. Take some time to allow the Spirit to offer you the awareness of what needs to change. Ahead of you, you see a larger group of people who seem to be stopping in a particular area under some trees. There seems to be a river there and some shade. Come to the river and notice that people are listening to one particular person speak about the need for change. Change that goes to the very core of things. What does this person look like? What tone of voice is being used to those gathered? This person seems to have the words that name your own deepest longings and knowings. The words connect you with your own experience and help you clarify your own deep desires for transformation. You have a sense that this is a prophet or a very holy person. Notice what this person is saying. How do you feel about what is being said? Is the person speaking about changes on a personal level? Changes in the society? Changes in relationships? Other changes? This person invites everyone to be a part of this movement for changing themselves and the way things are. You are invited to come into a flowing river, this river of life, this continually moving water, to allow the water to flow over your whole body, your whole being, to allow what needs to die in you to pass away, to let go of the old distorted way of being. You are invited to offer yourself to a new way, to new life, to transformed life. Decide how you feel about doing this. Watch as others enter the waters of the river Watch as they go under the water, and a blessing is given. Feel the desire for change rising in you. Feel any resistance you might have as well. Are you able to enter the waters of this river to allow their healing, renewing waters to flow over you? Are you ready to offer yourself to change? To letting go what needs to be let go? Are you ready to take on the power of the Spirit in your life? Let yourself feel any feelings that arise. Anxiety, anticipation, excitement, fear. Whatever arises for you, simply let it be in you. If you feel ready to enter the river, in spite of any anxieties and concerns you feel, allow yourself to enter the water. Feel the flow of the current. Feel the fresh, cool water on your hot, dusty body as you go into the stream. Allow yourself to go into the water as deeply as you are able. Feel the old used patterns in your life flowing away with the stream. Feel the cleansing of the water. Feel the refreshing, energizing power of these holy waters. Feel new life rising in you. Feel the freedom of letting go, creating more space inside of you. Feel the energies that you have used to hang on to outworn patterns and thoughts release. Feel the power that has been locked up in destructive tendencies return to you, giving you renewed energy for this new being that you are in the process of becoming. Feel the hope that comes from committing yourself to the new being. And then, as you rise out of the water, let yourself experience what almost seems like a voice. The presence of the Spirit communicating. You are my beloved, the one in whom I delight. Let yourself experience fully the power of this affirming love of the Spirit. Let yourself experience God's delight in you. As God's beloved, feel the power of this affirmation from the very core of the universe. Know that this love is with you in your commitment to new life, into change in yourself and in your world. Know that it will sustain you in times of trial, in times of despair, in times when the going is tough and the visions seem a long way off. Rest. For as long as you are able, in this delight of God, feel its healing power. Feel its energizing power. Feel its power to make all things new. And know that it is in you. Then come away from this place, back to the place where you began, as you bring with you the experience you had at the river. Gradually, become aware of your body as you're sitting or laying here. Notice your breathing. Begin to make some gentle movement. Wiggle your fingers and your toes. Roll your head from side to side. Stretch and yawn. Allow your eyes to gradually open back into the space, back into the room in which you've been laying or sitting. And following this meditation, some of you might like to journal. The questions are very similar every time. How did you experience God in this meditation? What was God doing for you in your meditation? Was there wisdom or learning for you? There's an extra question tonight. What desire for change kept coming up for you? These are things you can think about or write about. And your homework, again around water, is another act of remembering our baptism. I'm going to invite you the next time that you're washing your hands, as we are all doing so often right now. While your hands are clean and still wet, take your hands and maybe mark a small cross on your own forehead, as someone probably did when you were baptized, if you were. If you're not, it doesn't matter. Do it anyway. Remember who and whose you are. Remember that you are a beloved child of God. And I'll invite you in that moment to let God fall afresh on you. That song, Spirit of the Living God, fall afresh on me. Beautiful to think or sing in that moment. But just pause, just take a minute after cleansing your hands to mark your forehead and say, God, fall afresh on me. In that moment, remembering your baptism, remembering that you are a beloved child of God in whom God delights. You are beloved. Thanks for joining me this evening for a guided meditation on baptism and transformation and the healing power of water. I won't see you live tomorrow, but I will see you in a recording tomorrow and on Saturday. If you have any pastoral emergencies, please call 902-883-2363. And on the message at the machine at the office, you'll hear who you should get in touch with if you need to be in touch with me. I'll be off for the next 2 days. I plan on taking Facebook off of my phone, off of my computer. I'll still be available via Facebook Messenger, but I won't be checking it as often as I usually do. So if there's an emergency, please use the number I just gave you. I pray that there is not an emergency, that everyone will be safe and sound and comfortable in the next couple of days, and that I'll see you again live at 10 a.m. on Sunday morning. Until then, I love you. Stay safe. Stay home if you can. Bye.